Section 1, The Megastack, Chapter 1, My Letter from the Pit to My Wife. Every journey to greatness begins with a journey into smallness. Every journey to the peak demands a visit to the pit. My pit was dark. My pit was decades in the making. The stack, it became the light in the night. It became the keys to my liberation from the pit. But before I teach you the weapon known as the stack, you must first come to understand the pain that ultimately led to the explosion of this pleasure. After yet another fight with my wife about sex, another night of rejection, I walked downstairs, sat on my couch, and typed the following letter to my wife. June 2016. Dear Danielle, my intention with these thoughts is to take 100% responsibility for my actions and behaviors from the past 14 years with you as best as I can. I am so hurt. I am so lost. And the only way out that I can see is to speak with you directly in a form that allows me to get my ideas out clearly and at the same time give you a chance to read them without me cutting you off, yelling, or fighting. So here we go. Dating. I was a mess. I was scared. I was confused. About what? About marriage again, and interestingly enough, I felt scared of you. You were beautiful. I mean, beautiful in ways that makes a man's heart stop. And I'd never been with a woman in my life that had that kind of beauty. The fact that you even wanted to go out with me was shocking to me, even though I played it cool on the surface. So as we dated, I was in heaven and in hell. On one side, I was in heaven because you seemed to be literally everything I had ever dreamed of being with in a woman, my entire life. We didn't kiss for 2 months. I didn't want to fuck it up. I wanted to make sure there was more than just chemistry sexually. So interestingly enough, our entire relationship started off with me suppressing my sexual desires for you. This would become a pattern for me our entire marriage. I truly wanted to be happy with you, but I was seriously terrified. I told no one. I was terrified to end up in a marriage like I had just left, and it left me terrified, scared, and self-sabotaging. That fear turned to attack. And instead of owning the real fear I had, 1, I was going to get stuck in another painful relationship, and 2, I wasn't worthy to have such a beautiful woman. I couldn't own those, so I attacked you, yelled at you, and broke up with you out of my own fears. I blamed it on you. I hid my work to avoid reality. I blamed you for my own weakness. I was destroying your trust before we even got married. Every breakup I told you, you were broken and wrong. Every breakup I never owned my own shit. I just fucking blamed you. You are the problem, I would shout. Then finally, in some insane game, we got married. For the first 6 months before marriage, I wanted it to be perfect. I was terrified God was going to curse me again, and so I stopped intimate connection with you, and I completely shut off. We hardly even kissed during that time, and I was terrified I would fuck up. So I suppressed. I hid in work. I hid in sports. I justified this behavior believing that when we got married, shit would just change. Knowing that this was impossible now, but then thinking that something magical would happen in the temple. We got to the hotel that first night. You were uncomfortable as I approached you sexually. You wanted the lights off. You wanted the shades shut. We ended up in the shower and we had sex, and it was uncomfortable for you. I pumped myself up, thinking you were tired. We headed up the next day on our honeymoon. We stayed at a shitty resort, but the best I could afford. I wanted to have sex every day multiple times. We had sex the first night. You're not into it. You're awkward. And I was terrified. I searched for why, and you told me that maybe birth control had made you crazy. So we switched to condoms, and you stopped birth control, yet every time, it was difficult for you. I never felt wanted, but instead felt like an intruder in your world. Our honeymoon was stressful for me, but I remained hopeful. We moved into our new apartment. I was hopeful things would change. They didn't. I poured myself into work. I was convinced that the answer was that I was not making enough money. Unfortunately, even before we dated, I started putting the business first. I lost sight of what I was hunting for and began making love to my business. I was possessed by money and the game of making business work. It was my biggest addiction I'd ever had. People told me I would fail. I am a first-generation entrepreneur. No one in my family knew anything about business. Your parents, their house, their money, their feelings about me as a teacher drove me to prove to them, to my family, to you, that I was worthy to be with you. In that pursuit, I lost connection with my why. I lost you. Every month that passed, the rejection sexually from you piled up. No kids. It didn't seem to matter. So I moved us to Vegas. I bought a house and I was certain that things would change. They didn't. It's still awkward, still no kids. We have money now. You still won't connect with me. I find marathons and Ironmans. Between these activities and my work, I begin to turn away from you and start pouring my sexual energy and love into my business and sports. I begin to ignore you. I had no idea how to be with you. You wanted to get pregnant. I'm nervous, but I agree. And in 1 week, we had more sex than we did in the previous 6 months. I was hoping you wouldn't get pregnant, so the sexual connection would continue and I could feel wanted. You do get pregnant. The sex ends at week 1. You want to move to Utah because I begin traveling to try and fill this massive void. I yelled at you. I was pissed. I was reinforcing the belief that you were not good enough. I forced you to be Mormon. I made you feel guilty for not being an all-in Mormon, only masking my own fears and doubts about Mormonism myself. My frustration boiled over often with you. I yelled at you at least once a month, and then I would ignore you as I would dive back into the business and sports because I literally had no fucking answer for the confusion I felt in not being wanted, while at the same time screaming at you through my actions that you are not enough, being who you are. And this further drove you deeper into the darkness. We moved to Utah. You're close to your family. We had Bailey, but I became more interested in the next Ironman and have little memories of your experience, and I rarely attended your birth meetings with the doctor, further pushing us apart, further telling you through my actions that you were not enough. Day by day, I was building scars on top of scars. Then the banking crisis hit. I lost everything. I couldn't pay the bills. I lied to you about the money. I yelled at you with my frustration. I approached you sexually, now with no money, and the years of scarring, the answer from you was hell no. By 2009, I was begging for hand jobs. You do them, and I feel like a complete piece of shit having you do them. I was desperate. I was hurting. I was broken. I was lost. I had no idea what to do for you, for me, or our family. I had no identity. The rift was at its peak. I left the Mormon church. I stopped pressuring you. I stopped everything. I started to say fuck it to everything I knew. This scared the shit out of you. You wanted another baby, thinking it will change things. I hoped it would be with you. Again, for 1 week, you had more sex than we'd had in the previous months, and even though I know it's only for the baby making, I was happy to take anything beyond a hand job and towel to wipe myself off. I was desperate. No sex, no connection, no answers. I started training women. I'm not getting laid, but I'm filling myself up with the energy of other women's attention. Every day on the phone and every week in events, I was leveraging the praise and attention I'm getting from another woman to fill me up. I was running all the time. I was trying to figure out who I am. I have no idea who I am, but I'm starting to understand me. I go to Great Life and start to find myself deeper and deeper. I learned meditation, and through that and the running, I was able to at least be able to create space for myself, and I started to be able to answer the question of who I am. I was still barely paying the bills. We don't talk much. We don't have sex. We haven't kissed in almost a year. I started hanging out with a female student. She told me everything I wanted to hear and encouraged me to keep building, but at the same time, I started to have feelings for her. We talked about being together sexually. I now have a reason to stop engaging with you at all. I abandoned you emotionally while you were pregnant with Ruby. I poured my energy into Bailey and the woman I trained, and mostly this one student. For a month or two, this continues. I invited this female student to go running with me on a Sunday morning, and you're at home in bed. I kissed this female student in the canyon after running. It's nothing like I imagined. It's actually grossed me out. I'm left feeling sick to my stomach. I'm such a fucking pussy. I couldn't even tell you the entire story for almost 2 years. I cheated, and I don't even know how to tell you. I'm broken as a man, and I feel even more unworthy to be with you than I've ever felt in my entire life. I pushed you away even further. You woke me up in the middle of the night in tears, and we talked about why our marriage was broken. You threatened to leave and raise Bailey and Ruby by yourself without me if we didn't work things out. I see you crying, and I'm not sad. I'm hollow. In some weird way, I'm happy you're crying, because I've no idea what you're ever dealing with or why. So even when I see you cry, I'm reminded that you do have feelings. You gave birth to Ruby. I tore my Achilles tendon and ended up being on crutches for 14 months, and life kept getting fucking worse. I was still barely able to pay the bills, and suddenly I couldn't even pay rent, and I was a fucking cripple. Sex was not even a desire anymore that I approached you with. I was a pitiful human being who was unworthy to be with you, unworthy to create, unworthy to live. I kept blaming you and pushing you further away. We were about to move to Arizona. I tear my Achilles again the night before. You had to manage everything by yourself. I go back to Utah. You're all alone, no help, limited money, and you start to rise. I finally moved back to Arizona. Sex was still not happening more than every 10 to 12 days, and when it did, it was tons of work for you and something that didn't bond us at all. I hated my work, but I was able to pay the bills. I was desperately trying to find a way out of the shitstorm that I created for us. I started talking, taking you on real dates. Every single week, we start talking and dreaming again. 2012, I launched Wake Up Warrior. 2013 was the beginning of my rise from the ashes. I was finally making money again. I ran 3 events that year. We moved to California. You were panicked about the house. I told you I got it. And we moved into the Ladera Ranch house. I was changing faster than I'd ever changed in my life. Weeks now felt like months, and months felt like years. Warrior was transforming me. It was waking me. It was through the power of my calling. 2013 convention happened. 2014 was another year of hustle, and you and I are doing better than ever. You're starting to actually show that you want to be with me. We still fight about sex all the time. I was so excited about the hot tub. We never even once had sex in it. I started focusing on work, but it's different this time because my business model required me to go all in with you and the kids too. I do everything I can possibly to imagine to do this. You started to give me checklists of things that needed to happen for you to feel safe and to feel ready to sexually want me. I hit every single one of them. I literally stopped asking you for sex early 2014. I went into reaction mode. I waited for you to come to me. You controlled all the cards. I helped you launch your business, hoping that investing in you and your business will end up having you trust me so that we could have real sex and intimacy. It worked for a week. No matter what I did, nothing seemed to ever change. The pain of the past was too great for you, so I continued to push. I moved us to Dana Point. I pushed you to build a salon. I took you on a vacation after vacation. I hired cleaners. I hired nannies. I tried to help you with the business. You trusted me for a week, and I started to see improvements, and then you'd snap right back to your comfort zone. 2016, I exploded with power. The years of work and hustle were finally clicking. I was a level of power I'd never been in before. You told me I listed more items to change, including vacations. I agreed to all of them. We went on $5,000, $10,000+ vacations together. You told me not to run Warrior Week on the weekends. I literally changed my entire model so I could be home on the weekends. You tell me to leave you alone and give you space. I do it. You tell me to help me with your business. You do, and I do it. You tell me to help around the house, and I do it. You tell me to create more space for you. So I do, and take the kids off your hands multiple times a week so you can have space, including bedtime routine. I do it, and I do it all, and yet nothing changes. You're too hurt. My efforts are not enough. You tell me you don't trust me, and that if I fix your credit and get a house, you will feel trust, and then maybe things will change. I handle credit. You push me on the house and how worthless I am as a husband because we still lease homes, and why can't you trust me and just buy a house? I give up. No matter what I do, I can't win. At the peak, you rejected me sexually. At the pit, you rejected me sexually. No matter what I do, I now realize nothing will change. I emotionally quit. We ended up at a therapist. You agreed for the first time. We got better for a time. Sex doesn't really change. You're still struggling to manage the hell of the past and the patterns I just don't understand. I yelled at you. I'm fucking angry. I'm hurt. I'm wounded. I'm confused. I'm lost. I quit. Sex is still work, and you still resist. You still refuse to submit. You're still bound to the chains of the past and the pain that won't let you go. I realize that I deeply love you. You are my partner in crime and creation. But we are as broken as a couple. I don't know what to do. I realize I was a co-creator in our insanity. I have no idea what came first, the chicken or the egg. Did I reject you and this caused you to contract? Or did you reject me and this caused me to contract? I don't know. I know I love you. I also know love will not be enough. Love, your broken husband. It was 2016, as I was sitting on the couch in my living room, completing the most emotional letter I had ever written. I've typed it up in Evernote. I looked at the clock and realized I had to go, or I was going to miss my flight. I clicked share and sent the link of the letter to Danielle and also to my friend at the time, Jeremy Finlay. This letter started a chain reaction that would change hundreds of thousands of lives.